Today we're going to talk about another very famous composer everyone's heard of, Ludwig von Beethoven. He was born in Bonn in Germany in 1770. His childhood was not the happiest, one would say. He did come from a musical family, but his dad was obsessed with how Mozart was this child prodigy, and he wanted that for his own son. So he taught his son, but cruelly, and forced him to study and practice for hours. Now, this did help Beethoven. He became a great musician, and he did have music already in him, so it was there, but it also left him deeply emotionally scarred. Now, he was very talented, and by the time he was 12, he was court organist in Bonn, which is pretty great. He was also starting to dabble in composition, which he ended up being very good at. Now, whenever his dad was really, really mean and cruel, his mom was there, and his mom was loving, and his mom seemed to be a very, very kind person. 1787, Beethoven traveled to Vienna. He was only 16 years old, and he was hoping to meet up with Mozart, if possible, and study with him, because if you're going to do music, why not with the greatest? However, sadly, he did get to Vienna, but he never was able to study with Mozart. Not because of Mozart, but Beethoven's loving mother died. So he had to go back and help raise his siblings, because his dad wasn't going to do it. And his dad became even more of an alcoholic and was horrible. So Beethoven ended up staying in Bonn until his brothers were old enough to stay on their own. Once they were old enough, he went back to Vienna, but sadly at that point, Mozart had already died. Not to worry, Mozart did get to study with one of the greats, Haydn. However, Haydn was very much a stick-to-the-rules kind of a guy, and Beethoven was very highly independent kind of a guy, which is good because it changed music for the even better, but their relationship was not great. However, he did study with him from 92 to 94. So got back to Vienna, he quickly did gain some fame. He was an amazing pianist. He was so quick. He was a great improviser, which people really enjoyed. There were patrons that started supporting him, and he started writing and composing like the Moonlight Sonatas from this era and his first two symphonies. So his career was doing great. However, internally he wasn't doing so great. He was financially supporting his family back in Bonn, and that weighed on him, but also he had a lot of unsolved issues from his childhood to deal with, and that was traumatizing. And then also he started realizing his hearing loss. He became very sad, and there's a letter he wrote that was never sent but found after his death, and it shows that he was suicidal at this point. So from the outside he looked like he had it all together, but internally he was not doing well. Despite the fact that he was depressed, and also despite the fact that he was starting to lose his hearing, he absolutely revolutionized music. I'm going to talk about that more tomorrow because it's so much that it's not going to fit in here, but he changed music from before Beethoven to after Beethoven. By 1810, despite the fact that he was nearly completely deaf, he still composed, and amazing compositions at that. This is where he composed his Ode to Joy, his Ninth Symphony. He also was still composing this piano work that is beautiful, and it shows this depth that he, like some internal understanding of himself. It is absolutely beautiful. Now, he died at the age of 56 in 1827. And he was very well loved. It is said that 10,000 people, that's a lot of people, were mourning his death. Among those mourners was Franz Schubert, who I've talked about before. Autopsy showed that there was severe liver damage, possibly from heavy drinking, and also deterioration of auditory nerves, which we kind of would have an idea of. His remains are moved to Vienna, next to Schubert's grave, and trying to have the two greats next to each other. Despite the severe abuse that he went through and the inner turmoil and trauma all his life, he has left us with great music, some of my most favorite music. And again, he did so much to evolve and bring forth and change the music at the time that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Meantime, go listen to some Beethoven and let me know what your favorite Beethoven piece is. I played a Beethoven duet for violin and piano in college, and I loved that piece.